like to call the meeting to order. This meeting is being held in the council chambers and is open for public attendance and participation. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Brookman.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Joel.
Here.
Commissioner McFarland.
Here.
Are the mics on, everyone?
Doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't seem like.
Check, check.
Testing.
Check.
Here.
Let's hold off for a second and see if we can get the mics.
Check.
Seems a little low.
Check.
Still don't think we're working.
But I don't know if the speaker in here is not. Okay.
Okay.
Is the speaker in here on? Is the speaker in here on?
Because it doesn't sound like we can't, I can barely hear the commission. Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay. Mr. Chairman, we are back.
All right. Can I have a roll call, please?
All right. Chairperson Brookman.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Joel.
Here.
Commissioner McFarland.
Here.
Commissioner Blankenship.
Here.
Commissioner Sluter.
Here.
All right. Commissioner Blankenship, will you please lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment on items not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. Do we have any written requests?
No written requests.
All right. Oh, actually, I skipped over that part. My bad. Members of the public may address the Planning Commission on items of interest that are within the city's jurisdiction. Individuals addressing general comments are encouraged to limit their statements to 3 minutes. Do we have any comments from the public?
And no comments. Oh.
Seeing none, I will move on. All right. Commission business, agenda modifications. Is there any interest in modifying the agenda? Hearing none. Moving on. Business items. Is there any comment on item 2? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for comments or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 13th, 2026 regular meeting.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 3, Yuba City Capital Improvement Project Budget 2026 to 2031. Call for presentation by Joshua Wolf, Public Works Director.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. Thanks for having me. So tonight's item, we're going to be talking about the 2026 through 2031 capital improvement project budget. So the city's general plan and state law call for the Planning Commission's annual consideration and review of the proposed capital improvement project budget to find that the projects are consistent with the general plan. The CIP budget includes a list of public works projects that the city intends to design and construct over the next 5 years. Under current law, or under California law, Planning Commission has a responsibility of reviewing the capital improvement plan to determine whether or not it conforms to the general plan. Specifically, government code requires the Planning Commission to review the following actions for conformity with the general plan: acquisition of land for public purposes, disposition of land, street vacations, and authorization or construction of public buildings or structures. Section 65401 of the California Government Code requires each agency that proposes public improvements projects to annually submit a list of projects to the Communities Planning Agency for review as conformity with the adopted general plan. Further, Section 65402 prohibits the purchase of properties or the commencement of work on public projects until the Planning Commission has reviewed the projects for consistency with the general plan. So now I'm going to kind of walk through the capital improvement project budget, just to give a high level of some of the budget numbers that we have for the capital improvement plan and some of the highlights of the major projects that we're working on this year. So for fiscal year 26-27, looking at the capital improvement plan, we have about we have a number of different fund sources. So I'll just run through the numbers quickly. The general fund, we're proposing $651,000 in allocated funding for this year. Transportation Development Act, we're looking at $1.38 million. Streets and Roads Funds, $2.96. Development impact fees, $150,000. Water, $5.34 million. Wastewater, $3.26 million. We did not receive any federal grants this fiscal year, so we're not programming anything there. State grants, including state revolving fund loans. Wanted to make that clear here. We are receiving about $10 million in state grants and about $11.79 million in a state revolving fund loan that will be going. There's a couple of projects associated with that, which will be highlighted later in the presentation. $88,000 in community development block grant funds and $191,000 in other sources. So those are all the different types of fund sources that go towards funding the capital improvement plan. It can be broken into 7 different categories of projects. General projects that are kind of general benefit of the city that don't necessarily fit into any of the other categories. There's about $123,000 programmed there. Facilities projects for any number of the facilities throughout the city. Community services, so think parks, recreation, $300,000 there. Public safety, about $185,000 allocated there. Streets and roads, about $9.59 million there. Water, about $11.15 million, and wastewater, about $14.84 million. So to get into the different projects for community services, their major project this year is going to be the replacement of playground at Hillcrest Park. Typically, the Community Services Department strives to replace playground structures every 20 years. That's about what their useful life is. Hillcrest Playground, it's one of the older playgrounds. It's also the largest playground structure that the city owns. So we had to save up a few extra years to be able to get to the point where they could actually afford to replace it. Because its current equipment age is about 27 years. So the current funding for that project is $263,000. We're requesting $200,000 for that to get to the total of about $463,000 that's required to replace the equipment. And as you can see on the left here, here's kind of a rendering of what the structure is looking like. You have a new zip line structure, a pretty substantive 2 to 12 play area with swings, climbing structures, large slides, and a few other different climbing structures. Also including some inclusive swings for those with special needs, and a couple other inclusive items. For pavement repair projects, we have a number of projects that we are programming for this year. We have annually about $4 million available for roadway CIP projects. I broke this down into 3 different categories, 3 different colors on the map. So for the projects we wanted to highlight this year, the 2026 resurfacing project, we're looking to have that under construction in the next few months. It has a project cost of about $1.7 million. The scope of that project is installation of slurry seals, cape seals, and minor road repairs. So you can see you have about 7 or 8 neighborhoods throughout the city that are going to be getting treated kind of all over the periphery of the city, the northwest side, the northeast side of town, center of town, near downtown, section of Civic Center that needs a pretty good amount of rehabilitation. Neal Drive, one of the worst roads in town, and a few other neighborhoods as you get to the middle and southeast portion of the city. So resurfacing projects, they're not as in-depth as mill and fills or grind out projects. They equate to about $265,000 per mile is the cost. That's why we could stretch the dollar a little bit further with those. Now we have a couple major paving projects, which are in the blue color. Walton Avenue improvements, I'll start with that one, as that one's likely going to be into construction, starting construction this fall. It'll be a major road rehabilitation from Hazel Avenue at the south end near Bogue Road, all the way up to Sam's Club intersection here. The scope of that project will be major road repairs between Lincoln and Franklin. There will be sidewalk constructed on the west side to help with safe routes to school for both AK and Lincoln Elementary. Also including some signal upgrades for the 4 or 5 signals that go through that corridor, and bike lane improvements. Bogue Road widening. This is going to be on Bogue Road between 99 and Railroad. This really is to help facilitate the construction of the Newcomb Ranch development that is in this area of town, which this project, the scope of it is to widen the road to full width on the south side to help facilitate the improvements on the south. It will also be installing landscaped parkway strips, block wall, and other items that will lead into the master plan neighborhood. These projects are a little bit more substantive. Bogue Road is about a $9 million project. Walton Avenue is about a $4.9 million project. I will note Walton Avenue's funding is almost entirely from federal grants that was previously funded or previously allocated. So we're getting to the point where we could actually spend the funding now. Near-term paving projects, I'll just do a quick highlight on these. These are projects that we've received grant funding for, and they're in the design stages. So George Washington Boulevard, this is going to be a pretty straightforward pavement repair project, but we're also including widening the road to include bike lanes. That's from Franklin Avenue to State Route 20. We're estimating that project will be about $2 million. Like I said, it's not too complex, no utility work, no curb gutter and sidewalk. It's just fixing the road and doing a little bit of widening for bike lanes. And then we have Garden Highway. Current estimate for that project is about $5 million. It's between Lincoln Road and Bogue Road. It's one of the worst road sections in the city. It's subject to a lot of truck traffic, so it's getting a pretty intense pavement repair called a full depth reclamation. That project we're estimating about $5 million, and it's about a year or two out, but we're programming it to line up with the grant funding we received. And for both of these projects, George Washington received state grant funding, and actually George Washington and Garden Highway both received state grant funding. Just a quick highlight over Walton Avenue. Federal grants through the CMAQ program, $1.2 million. Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, $3.1 million, and then a $900,000 match from the city. Like I said, design through the late summer this year, construction fall this year through summer of next year. Garden Highway, as I mentioned, one of the worst sections in town. Major road rehab, signal upgrades, ADA ramp upgrades. 4.3 million of the funding comes from the Surface Transportation Improvement Program, and then about 565 is going to be a local match. Design through this winter, construction hopefully to start next year. One last one, the city is working on a major road repair project in which we're considering utilizing bond funding to try to get the most bang for our buck through economy of scale. So we're looking to see if we can get bond funding somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 to $14 million to do a major road repair project. We're working with the consultant currently, looking to have them scan all of our roadways with LiDAR to really get a comprehensive idea of what the roadway conditions are. This map kind of shows what our current idea is, but it has not been updated in a number of years, and it's well overdue to be scanned. So we're looking at scanning the roadway network, looking at options for how we can get major road repairs and stretch the dollars as far as we can. And we're trying to expedite that project. So we're looking at design this summer through spring of next year and beginning the major pavement repair project in summer of 2027. And then the consultant will also implement a 5-year resurfacing plan so that we will have a plan for each year of the next 5 years to do annual resurfacing projects. That will significantly help the engineering team out. Another major project, the outfall diffuser program. This is one of the ones I talked about receiving funds through the state revolving fund. The total project cost is $61.8 million. Proposition 218 that was recently conducted by our utilities director. The securing of that Proposition 218 or the rate increase ensured that we would be eligible for the SRF loan and bonds. We will be getting about $50 million in total for the SRF loan, and we're going to continue to seek alternative funding to offset the loan cost as time goes on. It's currently in design through next spring, with construction to begin in 27 and through 2028. After reviewing the proposed document, the project list, and comparing it with the general plan, it's staff determination that the proposed CIP is consistent with the general plan. So with that being said, we'd recommend that the commission finds the projects listed in the 2026 through 2031 capital improvement project budget is consistent with the general plan and forward findings to the city council. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, I've got just a couple. One of them goes back to the park equipment in the playground stuff. What's the city's liability when we put like a zip line structure in like that? What's our liability with just people being stupid doing things?
So I will say our parks maintenance workers are a certain number of them are required to get a certification to become a certified playground inspector. So they make sure that everything is installed per the manufacturer's requirements and that they're meeting any fall requirements, things like that. Anything resulting from just being silly, doing things that you're not supposed to. I mean, anyone could sue for anything, but we haven't seen anything. We haven't, to my knowledge, seen any lawsuits resulting from those kind of activities.
Okay. And then my second question is with the widening of Bogue Road from 99 to Railroad. Is all that utility poles and all that, is that going underground?
The utility poles are going to be relocated to the south within the parkway strip, so it's going to be kind of blended in with all the different trees and landscaping per the city's underground policy.
I had another question. So regarding like the budget, when you get like the playground budget or the road budget, is that based on like just like some sort of formula, or do we get actual quotes? And then do we get quotes or bids from multiple contractors on that sort of thing?
So I'd say for the most part, the projects are developed either through our internal engineering staff or through consultants. So as they're designing the project, they'll come up with an engineer's estimate that includes all construction costs, contingencies that we may need for unforeseen items, staff time to facilitate the project. So that's all kind of determined internally. And we will refer often for transportation projects. For example, Caltrans has a unit cost index that we can refer to kind of see what the bid price for different items is going, or say, for example, asphalt, how much does it cost per ton? How much can we anticipate that being based upon recent bids? So for those regular items, we're able to do that internally. For playground structures, we'll typically get quotes from a number of different vendors to kind of determine what that fully constructed cost would be.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Josh, but then for the project itself, we will put it out to bid.
Yes. We are beholden to the public contract code. We follow formal bidding procedures for almost all of our projects. There are some nuances with informal bidding, but every bid that we do follows the public contract code.
Thank you.
Hey, Casey, I got one more question for you, Mr. Wolf. Might sound a little bit redundant, but when we were talking about having the roads all scanned again and everything else. Is there anything that says how often that has to be done? And the reason I'm asking is when we got our packet and we were looking through it, it's quite a chunk of money to scan all those roads and do all that stuff. When the last time we did it, we know they haven't got any better. So when we do it again, we're going to find out that they're probably worse than they were. And I'm asking because if we could use the old report and come up with a plan, that would give us almost $1 million in scanning roads and everything else to put into repairs.
So I didn't do a great job explaining what the total scope of that was. The $1.8 million, the scanning portion of that is a very small chunk. That's actually only about 2 weeks of work of them driving around with the vehicle. The cost is for them to actually design the $14 million, do a complete design of the $14 million worth of construction projects plus the 5-year plan for 5 years of resurfacing projects. If you look at it as $1.5 million per year for each resurfacing project, $7.5 million total, plus the $14 million total, that's what, 21 million or so. Typically on what we experience with construction or with design costs, design costs for consultants are typically about 10% of the total construction cost. With this situation, we're looking at closer to 7 or 8%. And really, the other thing that this LiDAR scanning does outside of just getting us the information is we get to keep that information in perpetuity. It gives us this GPS data so that our engineering team doesn't actually have to go out in the field and survey again. They have that data that we can use whenever we want to. So that's going to save a lot of staff time and increase safety as well. Because not only will it collect the road data, but it'll collect the periphery, curb gutter, and sidewalk data. And if we have any major projects we're immediately planning for, they can do what is called pre or post benchmarking to really get very accurate vertical elevation data as well. So it's going to save staff time, increase staff safety, as well as get us this data. But I do completely agree. We have this data from the past, and the roads have gotten worse. And to your original question, the industry standard is for residential roads to inspect the roads every 5 years, and for collectors and arterials every 2 to 3. The last time we inspected our residential roads was 2017, so we're well overdue there. And commercial or collector and arterials was, I believe, 2019.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any further questions? Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, through the chair, Josh, could you inform the commission how much it costs to repave a road per mile, and then how much the city receives in gas tax that allows you to budget for road improvements annually?
Most definitely. So I'll give a pretty broad example. Say you have a bad roadway that isn't quite to the point of full reconstruction, but it needs some major surface repairs and some subsurface repairs. Say the way you want to handle that is by grinding the road down 3 inches and repaving it. Say they call that a mill and fill. To do a mile of that type of road repair, it costs $2 million. Mind you, there are other costs that come into play, like the cost of replacing curb ramps, because per ADA, if you do any sort of paving adjacent to a curb ramp and it's not currently compliant, you're required to replace those. Those come at the cost of about $10,000 to $12,000 per ramp. If you want to stretch the dollar further, kind of back to this, I have it right here, the example for resurfacing, where you may do some structural repairs on small sections called digouts, where say you have a 6-foot wide by 40-foot long section. You'll take the old AC out, recompact the base material, and put new AC in, but then you'll coat the entire road in a Cape Seal. That stretches it from the $2 million per mile down to $265,000 per mile, and that's why we get so much more volume out of it. Now, back to the point of how much we get annually. The amount of money that we get annually to actually fix the roads, not just operations for all the other things our street crew may do, like pothole filling, mastic sealing, street sweeping, keeping the street lights on, keeping the signals on. After you take the operational cost, the cost just for projects is about, or the money that we have just for projects is about $3.7 million. So about 2 miles of roadway that we could do in a year. So what we really have to do with capital improvement project planning is stretch the dollar as far as we can with these resurfacing type projects, while also trying to leverage grant funds so that we can actually afford to do these major projects. And with the major projects that are grant funded, we have to pay about 10% plus or minus in matches. So for this Walton Avenue project, what did I say here? That one was a little bit more expensive. It was about 4.3 million of grant funds with $900 of local match. Or for Bogue Road, I think this one was a little bit more straightforward, $4.3 million in state grant funds and about $565,000 in match funds, which is more typical. It's usually around a 10% match that the city has to pay. So it's a lot of stretching the dollars as far as we can and trying to make sure we don't out cash flow ourselves with the matches that we have to uphold for these major projects.
All right.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. No more questions from the commission? All right. I'd like to open up a public hearing. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And thank you. Can we have a motion for item 3?
I'll make a motion to approve the Yuba City Capital Improvement Budget for 2026 to 2031.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And just to be clear for the record, you're making a recommendation to the city council for approval of the CIP as part of our fiscal year budget that'll go to city council next Tuesday.
Correct.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 4, future agenda items. Mr. Doug Livy.
Yes, sir. So we are going to cancel the June 24th Planning Commission meeting. Congratulations, you have the night off. And we're going to come back after the 4th of July on July 8th. And we'll have a couple different projects for you. One is we're bringing back the Calvary Christian Use Permit Amendment. That will be coming forward. And then also we have a use permit for 7 Brew Coffee. It's a new coffee retailer that's going to be located, wants to locate east of Panera and west of Jack in the Box. The mall cut out a parcel a couple of years ago over there, and so that's where 7 Brew wants to locate. And I think I mentioned before, this is their first California location. So, and then, let's see here. Those are the 2 projects. We will have a time extension request for Franklin Commercial Center. That was a project that was entitled a few years before this planning commission, located at the southwest corner of Walton and Franklin. There's a vacant lot there. So that's all I have for future agenda items. And then we are planning on canceling at this point the July 22nd Planning Commission meeting.
Okay. Thank you. And next we have Developmental Services Director report, Mr. Doug Libby again.
Yeah, I will keep this short. You might remember last fall we had it was a fairly controversial project. It was the West Elmer annexation came forward. I think it was October. And so that project for 55 single-family residential lots on about 10 acres, that was approved. But it was conditionally approved subject to annexation. Well, last month that went to Sutter-Lafco, that's Local Agency Formation Commission, and that was unanimously approved. So I'm putting together the packet to get recorded, and so it'll probably be within the city within less than 30 days.
Nice.
So that's all I have for you. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Next, we would have a report of actions of the City Planning Commission and Sutter County update, but I don't think we have anybody assigned there, and they don't have anybody assigned here, so.
I think what we'll do going forward is if something changes, we will just remove that item from the agenda.
That works.
Okay.
And with that said, meeting adjourned.
And by the way, have a happy 4th of July, since we won't see each other until July
Everybody
8th.
too.